church worship changes drastically as a result of Martin Luther.
And leading up to the Reformation, the congregation wasn't really participating in the divine service. The liturgical leaders were the ones that were leading the entire service. And so the people would gather in the congregational space and just stand there and watch. The congregation was not participating in the service at all.
When somebody came to Mass, it was more than likely spoken. Spoken in such a way that the person who was in the pew didn't really hear what was said.
Luther somewhere says faith is an acoustical affair, which is a nice translation of it. Faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word, and so on.
He tried to bring the music back into the congregational life. So music was part of worship life in the late Middle Ages, but was often conducted by the choirs, and often in Latin. So Luther replaced all of the main parts of the Mass with hymns that the congregation could sing, hymns in German.
To give the voice to the people was really a radical thing.
But in many ways, Luther created what many called the singing church.
Attending worship services changes from merely watching to actually participating.
Well, you were a spectator under the low Mass that he inherited. And you did your personal devotions. When he got done doing the German Mass, you weren't a spectator, you were actually a participant. It was about engaging the people and using the gift of music.
Music is teaching quite a bit of what's happening in people's devotional life. And music is a folk tool, sung at home. Music sustains the day. Music is sung socially. Music, just like in our day, music has a profound impact on the people in that day.
Now, the advantage of a hymn was that it could help their memory for what the church really taught, and therefore the gospel was put into the songs so that the average person, by repeating this week after week sometimes, would be strongly inserted into their memory in a memorable way because it was attached to a tune.
Luther designed those hymns initially to be sung both in the congregation but especially at home.
Participation in other parts of the service is introduced as well.
They would participate in the Lord's Supper rather than just seeing it being performed in front of them.
Communion is a huge issue in the Reformation, both in what it means theologically and joined to that people's participation or lack thereof of it.
Just the notion that people who gather to worship should be singing is rooted in some of the basic principles of Luther's reforms.
Except for certain musical styles, how we worship today differs little from what developed during the Reformation.